Hi, Jewish moms. Those of you who have been following this blog for a long time and watching my pep talks know that I have some very, very serious neighbor issues, to say the least, and to put it mildly, let's say. And so this past week, I actually had a very unpleasant interaction with one of my neighbors. And so I just spoke with the local policeman, and he recommended that for the first time that I actually go and make an official police complaint, meaning going down to the police station and filing a complaint against this person. So I just wanted to give you sort of like the framework for why I'm making this pep talk right now. It's something about dealing with troubling situations and troubling thoughts and all of the mind chatter that goes on when we're in distressing situations. Everything I'm going to say now is things that I learned in the class of Dina Friedman, who gives a class called Mastery. And it's an amazing, amazing class. I'm taking it now. It's a year-long class, and I'm planning, I hope, Bezat Hashem, to also take it next year, because I think to take it again, the same class twice, because it's just so much information and it's just so helpful, and I just feel like it's really helping me so much. As someone who suffers a lot from mind chatter, sort of like the thoughts, she did and he did, and what am I going to do, and like sort of, and like whatever, like as someone like that who really suffers a lot from the mind chatter up here, then it's very, very helpful. She has a lot of techniques, a lot of ways to sort of overcome negative thinking patterns and mind chatter that can really make life even tougher for us. Okay, so I want to just tell you 3 different techniques which she taught, which I've been using to help myself out in sort of the mind chatter surrounding distressing events in my life. So the first thing is, she suggests when you have a distressing experience and you're thinking distressing thoughts, to first of all say ask yourself, how did this distressing event make you feel? Okay, so I'll go back to my own personal situation this past week, where I was harassed and threatened by a neighbor. So afterwards, I felt powerless, weak, scared, threatened. So basically you're supposed to go on and on, listing as many adjectives as you can about how this distressing experience made you feel. Okay? And the next step is to try and see the situation from a higher point of view. Let's say from God's point of view. How does God, or like a higher way of thinking, how would God, or this higher way of thinking, view that same situation? Okay, so in my situation, it's very clear to me that Hashem's looking down at me and saying, Chanele, this is uncomfortable for you. I know this is uncomfortable for you, but it's making you stronger. It's making you great. It just it replaces all the words of weakness and terrorized and what's going to be and and just replacing it and saying, wow, this is an experience. It's uncomfortable, and I'd rather I didn't have to deal with these neighbors, and I wish I didn't have to go down to the police station. I wish I didn't have to be being harassed and threatened by these crazy people. But you know what? When I see that way, it's wow. But I'm the powerful one. Hashem is making me great. Hashem is making me more powerful. Hashem is, and the truth is, when I look back at myself, a few years ago, before I was in the sort of this difficult situation in my neighborhood, the last few years really have been an intensely strengthening experience for me. I've become much wiser, much stronger. It's really actually true. Okay, so another thing she suggests when you're having disempowering mind chatter is to name your think of this disempowering thought, okay, this distressing thought, and it's a breathing exercise. So think of the distressing thought, and then think of an empowering thought. An empowering thought could be just something empowering that you're going to say that you'll an empowering thought to empower yourself. So an empowering thought for me is Ein Od Milvado. There's nothing besides Hashem. So, even though things seem sort of crazy and whatever, that I think to myself, okay, there's only Hashem. Hashem runs the world. Hashem runs the world. And so she does. She says, like, when you're thinking a distressing, disempowering thought, you breathe in and and see yourself pulling away from the disempowering thought, and breathe out and say to yourself, Einon Milvado, or whatever empowering mantra you want to say to yourself. And so I've been doing this. I've been seeing myself pulling away from a distressing situation, like pulling myself back, and breathing out and saying Einon Milvado. Breathing in, pulling myself away from the disempowering, distressing thought, reality, and breathing out and saying Einon Milvado. And it really is very, very calming. It really is a good way to pull yourself up from like sort of distressing, disempowering mind chatter. Another thing that Dina suggests is doing a physical activity, getting yourself. A lot of our problem with mind chatter, with the upsetting mind chatter, is that we're too in our minds. We get like all our minds are sort of out of control. So what we need to do is pull ourselves back into our bodies. So Dina suggests doing a physical activity, for example, washing dishes, or going on a walk, or I don't know, sorting through a drawer or something. And then while you're doing it, like let's say you're washing dishes, is to really, really be fully into the activity. Like I actually did this last night. I was washing dishes after Shabbat, and I imagined I was paying a lot of attention to the soap suds on the silverware I was washing, and the sound of the water flowing down from the faucet, and the feel of the warm water on my hands. And it's actually very helpful. Or sometimes I do I go on walks every day for exercise. And it's really actually there's another exercise which Dina suggests, which she learned from her sister-in-law, which I sort of bring into this physical activity of going on a walk. It's called, I think she called it Spot the Spot, and it means what it is that when you're having this distressing mind chatter, to look at a spot like on the wall, and then look at a spot over there, a spot up there on the ceiling, and a spot on the floor, and sort of look and focus on as many spots as you can around you, basically pulling yourself out of your mind into your physical surroundings. So when I go on a walk, I'm doing spot to spot. I'm like sort of paying attention like to my physical body, like the feeling of the quick walking in my legs, but also like noticing that tree, and that the shadow on the sidewalk, and the smell of food coming out of a restaurant. And it's amazing. Like I've actually been doing this on walks for the last few days, and I've been seeing things that I've never seen before, like physically in the world, like physical, trees, beautiful gardens, various places that I never would have noticed because I'm so in my mind and inside my mind chatter that I just really don't notice a lot of the beautiful things around me. So those are three really helpful techniques to get over mind chatter. And a final thing, just like a final thought, is when we're dealing with I just had a thought about it on Shabbat, a chidush on Shabbat, about my situation with my neighbors. So a few years ago I took a self-defense course, and it cost several thousand shekels to take a self-defense course. Something basically, it's sort of like assertiveness training and learning how to the techniques to fight people who are attacking you. And it costs, as I said, several thousand shekels. And the amazing thing about the nisyonot, the challenges that God gives in life, it's really it's like God has a curriculum for everyone. God has a curriculum for all of us in our lives, and the challenges are the things that we need to get through in order to complete our life curriculum. So it's like when I took the self-defense course, and God makes similar courses for us, but it's free. Having to deal with this neighbor, bothering me. It's like a free self-defense course. It's like learning how, when I took the self-defense course, we paid thousands of shekels for people, like men in these big helmets and whatever, to come and attack us, and we had to learn how to fight them. And and Hashem provides that for us for free so that we learn to develop the skills to defend ourselves, or like in others, if people are facing other nisyanot, to learn the skills that you have to learn in order to fulfill to fulfill and complete and excel in your own life's curriculum. Okay. um, so so I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week. That we should remember three different techniques to get over mind chatter. To remember the high thinking, like you can when you're having distressing thoughts about an experience. So ask yourself first, what are the upsetting emotions that you're feeling because of what you went through, and then ask yourself, try and reinterpret it through God's eyes. How does God see that situation? Or how is it a higher thought? How would it be a higher thinking view of the same situation? The second thing is breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and pulling yourself away from the distressing situation, and breathing out and saying something, an empowering saying to yourself. Okay. The third thing is doing a physical activity. A physical activity that's gonna pull you and get really, really into it. Pay attention to all of the aspects of this physical activity. You're washing the dishes, you're filling the water, you're seeing the soap suds, you're hearing the sounds of the water from the faucet, and pulling yourself out of your mind, where we spend far too much time, and getting into our physical bodies, and you can also join that up with this spot to spot, with like sort of looking at something and really focusing on different spots, different things you can look at around the world and around your room, etc. And so just remember, like that all of our nisyonot, all the challenges that we have, it's all a gift from Hashem. It's like a personalized curriculum which Hashem has made for us to make us. And it's not comfortable. I know better than a lot of people, but it's really not comfortable, but it's making us great. And bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing, amazing week. Go do.